Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Creatives podcast. I'm your host, Dwight. I'm joined by,
Maddox.
we're the Connections and Community Guys. And today we're joined by our featured guest, Amber Goodwin.
Hi, everybody. Maddox and Dwight, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I'm Amber Goodwin. I am a artist, and my full-time job, I work at Texas Health Dallas. But I love art and I love creating and I love being part of the creative community. And so awesome to meet Dwight and Maddox, who share the same type of mindset as I do. So I'm super excited to be here today.
Well,
Amber,
we're certainly glad you're here.
also tell the audience how we met, Amber.
So we met, of all places, at the Deep Ellum Arts Festival. That was their first year. They restarted the festival after the original organizer retired. And I just saw Maddox and Dwight strolling around, and they stopped by my booth, and I was just immediately drawn to both of y'all's kindness. And I just felt a connection. And you actually liked my paintings too, which was awesome. So it
We,
was,
we did and we do.
yeah, yeah. And I just had this ease of like explaining my process to both of you, and just you understood what I was saying. And yeah, we met there, and it was like the luckiest meeting I've ever had. I mean, I talked to a lot of people at these shows, but um, they don't turn into friendships as this one has. And this was back in, I believe, 2023, I believe.
I think you're right.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
time flies.
yeah, and it's been a year, and we're on to our what, like, second year. And yeah, just so amazing. I mean, that was the best time. That was the best thing I feel like that came out of the show, was getting to know you both.
Thank you. We feel the same way. And for
Absolutely.
those that are watching video, the painting to the left of my cabinet back there that has the big word authentic on it is one of Amber's paintings. There's a little bit of glare on it from the window, but
Yeah, resin.
it's lovely. It's lovely. We love it.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad it went to a good home.
Hmm. Well, tell us a little bit about how it was that you got started with creating art.
So originally, I started art back when I was 12. My mom had enrolled me in this glass painting course, which, you use this paint by Pebeo called Vitrol. It's really stinky, by the way. So make sure if you're going to use it, then wear proper protection, because, yeah, it does smell really bad. And yeah, it was just a lady who, I guess, used to live in London, and she went to art school there. And at that time, I lived in Pakistan, where my family's originally from. I lived there for about 4 years, I want to say. And this lady just had, she bought a house, and she actually made this art school in this property that she had bought. And she taught glass painting, she taught silk screen painting, um, just a lot of stuff. And it was very interesting. And she was good at it too. And so I would go there every Saturday for about 6 hours and just paint on mirrors and glass. And um, I learned to use this thing called relief paint, which is kind of like an outlining you do so the paint doesn't spread around. So I learned that, and I did it for a while until we moved back to the States, and those materials weren't available here, which I was kind of shocked because I thought everything would be available here, you know. Um, and then when I went to college, I started doing a lot of watercolor art with watercolors. And my art teachers there really pushed me to like sketch and use watercolors, and I actually had my first exhibition in my sophomore year during Black History Month. And I remember that a professor wanted to buy one of my floral watercolor paintings, but I just could not part with any of my stuff. So I was just I didn't want to sell it to her, and I just said no, that's not for sale. And I remember my dad was like, "Oh, why didn't you sell it? Like she, just sell your stuff." And at that time I was just like, "Oh, well, do I really want to sell my stuff, my art?" And that was a difficult thing, which is still a little difficult sometimes to part with art.
Um, it sounds like your art is really for you. You
Yeah, yeah,
paint for you. Yeah.
yeah.
I,
It-
I have I have a question. When at 12, when you started painting on glass, was that your idea or was it mom's?
actually it was my idea. And it was my idea because I saw my aunts, which are my dad's side of the family, they were doing it and they had no proper training. Um, and I just it's a pretty popular thing to do in Pakistan, the glass painting. Um, but they were the first ones who I saw in my circle actually do glass painting. And I remember my eldest aunt, she I don't know if you're familiar with those paintings of like the Persian mythology where they have the very dainty looking, people. They're like kind of white, they're painted white, and they have
Mhm.
very intricate like designs, like Persian motifs and stuff. And uh, my eldest aunt would actually paint those. They
Oh,
look
wow.
very like I would say the Oriental paintings back from that time,
Mhm.
kind of like those Oriental paintings where you saw like the reds and the blues and the golds. So she would glass paint those, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to learn this. And I don't know why she wouldn't like teach me, which was
Mhm.
kind of weird. Um, so I did talk to my mom, and she found this school. I don't know how she found this lady, but she found this lady, and I went. And I made a lot of glass paintings there. And unfortunately, we couldn't bring them since we were moving back. And my brother broke a few because he was playing, I don't know, cricket in the house. So he smashed a few of my paintings, which it was horrible back then. But now when I think about it, it's like kind of funny that
Wow.
he broke them because like I can make them again, I guess. Um, but yeah, it started out with my aunts, and then my mom saw the interest, and she was like, well, Amber needs to do a hobby uh, outside of school. So that's how it all started. And my mom would go with me. My mom, um, that's actually the one time we actually were able to kind of bond because she went and did the silk painting part
Ah,
there. Yeah, and she painted a sari, I remember. I think I still have it. Um, she dyed the fabric, first, and it was like a ombre green, like a pistachio green, and then it went to like a dark green, and then she painted like these really beautiful pink tiger lilies on them. And we would go together, and that was like I had a lot of fun going with her. So yeah, that it brings back good memories of my mom and I going together and being creative together.
It sounds like your family was supportive of your creative desires
Right,
because
right.
we talk have a lot of these conversations and it's amazing how many creatives report that family was not so supportive. It's like, what are you doing? Like, get a real job type, thing.
Yeah, I think back then, like they kind of, I feel like my mom and my dad viewed it as just a hobby because when I went to college, it kind of shifted. It was like, oh no, like you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. So um, they were always um, open to the, I guess, the hobby part of it, but I don't think they've ever viewed it as being a career, which to me, I wanted it to always be a career. Um, and it was just kind of frowned upon uh, by
That,
them.
that's a cultural thing, though, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is, which is kind of sad because my youngest aunt, she passed away. She was a set designer for the Pakistan television channel, which is like kind of like PBS there.
Mhm.
And she used to set design, and she actually went to art school. She went to this college called the National College of Arts, which is a college that was built when the British ruled over Pakistan and India. So they created like these colleges that we still students go to today, and they're considered pretty prestigious. So she went to this National College of Arts, and she got her degree from there. Her daughter followed her footsteps and got a degree in textile art, which is pretty popular there as well. So uh, they would always be like, "Oh, look, she struggles, you know, like you'll end up like her." And she did struggle, but I mean, she wasn't in a good marriage, and she kind of had to, make ends meet on her own. And I felt like she did not have the support that she needed, um,
Yeah.
and it trickled down to the generations to come. But I have to give it to her for doing what she had always loved to do, which was her art. And she oil painted, and I felt like she was always compared to my elder aunt, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, she does really good art and her paintings are really good." And I felt like she was always compared. And my eldest aunt is like a math genius. She was always into statistics and all those number things. Um, and I didn't really like that, being compared. Uh, so yeah, I kind of think about it, and she's kind of my inspiration, I would say, is that she stood her ground and basically died doing what she loved to do. Um, so I
Couldn't
really
want for
do.
more than that, could we?
I'm sorry.
Couldn't want for more than that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, absolutely.
mean, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Mhm.
So in my life, I've seen so many people sell out and give up what they love to take a job that makes money, thinking that that was the right way to go. And most of them are miserable at the end of their life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which I have a really great example. We have friends, or my parents have friends, who are doctors, and stuff. And that's the one thing they complain about is that, oh, we never wanted to be a physician. Like, I wanted to like be a software engineer. I wanted to write like a program, or one lady wanted to be a chef, from one of my dad's friend, his wife. But they were always pushed, and you can see like they're just not happy.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a robot, like, oh, they wake up, go to work. It's just they're just not happy. And yeah, they may be stable and stuff, but it's like, are you really happy? And art makes me happy, so that's why I do it. And it would be nice to be a full-time thing, and I'm working towards that, and being more confident in reaching that goal, because I want people to be inspired and not think that, oh, you have to be something that your family tells you to be. I feel like it's a little bit of manipulation to me sometimes. And I don't want to do that to my kids.
I think it's definitely manipulation.
It is.
Right.
It's the subtle way that we're bullied, we're trained. So how is it that you are able to move past that and instead of being forced to do what you have to do to earn a living or to earn the acceptance of your family, to
You
go
know,
toward what you want to do?
right. That took a long time for me to gain that confidence. And as I would say, a brown person, my parents aren't very like religious, but I mean, they do follow like the traditions, like not dating and stuff that was frowned upon. And so that there were certain things like we couldn't go spend the night at our friend's house. Uh, so I just broke away from all that. And that happened when I actually met my husband. Um, I was 30, I think I was 31 or 32, and I still lived with my parents. I'd moved back in with them. And I they were always trying to like arrange my marriage and stuff. And I don't know if y'all know, but I was married before. I had an arranged marriage. My dad arranged my marriage, and it was to an Indian guy who we thought was on a student visa, but he was actually on a visit visa. I found that out when we went for our interview. It's a very grueling process. And he had overstayed on his visa. And as soon as he got his green card, he left.
Ouch.
And yeah, and that was a very hard time for me. It took me years to get over that. I feel like I still don't have closure, but you kind of have to move on. Um, so my parents, after that whole ordeal, were still trying to look, and I would always get like when they would try to arrange these meetings, like with these, men and their family, like the minute they would find out I'm not a doctor or I'm not like, in a prominent field, they would just ghost my parents. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm always going to be stuck here. I'm always going to be stuck at my parents' house doing what they tell me to do. And I'm 30, like I'm 31. And again, the whole manipulation, like, oh, you live in our house. Um, and I kind of just, I know this sounds bad. I went behind their back and started dating online. And that's how I met my husband. I met my husband online. I know a lot of people say a lot of stuff about online dating, and trust me, I had a hard time. But thankfully I met my husband, and he was totally okay with how my parents were. Because any other normal guy would be like, I don't want to deal with this. This is like you're a grown person. But he was okay with it. And he planned a camping trip, and my parents wouldn't let me go. And I just thought, I don't want to be stuck here. I cannot be stuck here doing in in everything, like whether it's dating or art or whatever decision that I make. I can't do this. I It takes a lot of courage to just walk away from your parents. And because you have the fear of, oh, you're going to, get rejected, or uh, they'll just not like you. Just these fears, or you're gonna let them down. That's the biggest one.
Hmm.
And so I got the courage to move out, and I moved out, and my parents were very hurt by that. And but I feel like that is the best decision that I made for myself. And that has also given me the confidence to do my art, and to think that this can be something that can be done. full time if you have the right tools and the right strategy, the right planning to do so. uh, I was like, I cannot deal with people saying that, oh, you can't make anything off of it. And why do you always have to make everything off of something that you love? Just share what you're doing, share your creativity, and to me, that stuff will come, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so just taking that step of moving out has really helped me in a lot of stuff, especially the art as well, because it's given me the confidence that you don't always have to listen. You don't always have to have someone in your ear telling you that, oh, this isn't going to work out. Like you have to, if you fail, you have to fail and learn from that. Um, I hope I'm making sense here.
Oh, it's perfect
That
sense.
makes sense. Amber,
When
I just want to acknowledge that you took a bold and brave move, and I want to champion you for making the decision to have agency in your own life.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to ask, have you fully acknowledged yourself for that? I mean, and really, really fully acknowledged yourself for that? That's huge.
Um, I haven't, but I should. Um, and I think the thing that holds me back is maybe I want some assurance from like my husband, because he's always talking about powerful women in his life, like his granny who's like 102, and then his mom. But I don't get anything from him like, oh, like you, because it's a big deal in our culture for a female to move out and to marry someone who's a non-Muslim, by the way. Like my husband didn't convert. I didn't ask him to convert. Um, so I guess I'm wanting some words of affirmation from him to kind of seal that deal. Uh,
Can,
but
can I give you a little clue?
sure.
You probably won't get that from him until you can give it to you.
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's true.
You mean you can't expect him to celebrate something about you that you haven't been willing to celebrate about you. You just talked about what a big deal it was in your culture
Mhm,
to make that decision, to move out, to marry a non-Muslim.
mhm,
And it is huge.
mhm.
And you're in a tiny percentage of women that would have made the choice to be that courageous,
Right,
and you're not getting the acknowledgement because you haven't been willing to give you your own acknowledgement.
right, right. I mean, you just get this strength. Like it's so hard to explain. I have friends who like will ask me who are in like I guess the same type of, boat who have someone who they love, but like they're not from the same culture or like they're not from the same profession that their parents want them to be. And I feel like it's something that you can't just like tell someone. Like they have to put a foot down and it's just the strength that comes to you, um to walk away. It's just this unimaginable, undescribable like thing. um
Mhm.
but yeah, like you do need to, like a person does need to go and kind of go into their heart and be like, yeah, I did achieve something and acknowledge themselves, like you're saying. Whether it's like life stuff or art stuff, like I totally agree with you on that.
Well, basically, what we're talking about here is you just owning the badass that you are.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
It- and and
I'll
s-
tell myself that.
yeah, it sounds like even as you tell the story, I can feel the ways that you're reliving the hurt, and you've come out of it. So that's something that's happened in your past, and it's something that it hurt at the time, but you need time for it to develop a bit of a scar so that you're strengthened by it. You're not forever wounded by it.
Right, right. Because you know what? I have a daughter, and I mean, even though she's only 4, but I want her to be strong and confident. Um, and I want her to, be comfortable coming to me and not being told, like, oh no, this is how it's done, you know? Uh, so I get that I'm doing this for my daughter too. Uh,
Well, it's a pretty big piece of incentive, I think,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
She's already very sassy, so I think she'll be fine. But like, yeah, yeah.
You are probably her number one role model. I mean, your husband
I hope
is
so.
is but you probably are with her more than he is, perhaps.
Yes. Oh, it's always mommy, mommy, mommy.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're in the number one place role model, and she is going to follow your lead and your cue. I mean, which is kind of incentive in and of itself to really show her the badass that you are so she can follow in your footsteps. You know, there's something important about owning who we are, and we do that on multiple levels. You
Mhm,
can own that you're a badass for moving out from your parents and doing something that was totally unacceptable to your culture.
mhm,
You can own that you're an artist. I'm amazed at how many people we talk to that won't own that they're an artist or own that they're a writer or own that they're even creative.
mhm. Right.
And there's something really powerful about owning whatever it is, you know? I mean, we could probably go down all kinds of rabbit holes and look at the things that you could own if you were willing to make that choice.
Right. Right. No, you're right, because as I'm, finding myself as an artist, finding things that I gravitate to and learning from it, it's like, yes, this is what I want to be. This is, even though it's starting out late, um, this is something that I want and have always wanted. Um, I think for a lot of creatives, it's they get scared. Or I know for like the art that I do, and the posting that I do like on YouTube and stuff, I don't consider myself a YouTube artist. I think the main thing is to figure out what you want to do with your art. Like, are you like a content creator or an artist? And I think in the acrylic pour fluid art world, a lot of people, they're just like, okay, I'll post stuff and I'll get monetized, and it'll just be a fast deal. But I want to stay true to the art and what I create. I just don't want something fast. And I'm not saying they're doing stuff fast, but it's like I want to be true to the stuff that I create. And I want it to be original. Like, I just don't want to, I'm inspired by people, but I also want to be inspired by myself. And Dwight and I have talked about this in the past, that sometimes you have to be your own inspiration and be confident enough to say, yes, I am that person. And even if you're an asshole, like, say I am an asshole. Yes, I act like an asshole.
I
Um,
think you're completely right. You know,
Yes.
I think that sometimes we have to own it in order to manifest it.
Mhm.
You know,
right.
I started saying probably a year ago, I started telling people that I am a community leader.
Mhm.
Now, do I officially have a community that I lead? No, not yet.
Well, not yet.
I mean, we're working on it. We have a following. You know, we've got a bunch of creative people on our mailing list. We host events. We just
Mhm.
launched this podcast recently. And but do we have a like a community that quote unquote I or we lead? No. But I'm owning that I'm a community leader. And I think that it will come to pass because owning is what manifests, owning and believing and
Absolutely.
acting as if.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're doing the grunt work too.
Yeah, and that goes to your point. Like if you have in your mind that this is what I want to be, I feel like the good vibes and the good energy comes that way as well, and you're successful. And this goes back to like the art community. I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm not part of the community. I'm cordial with everyone, but it's always like just fast, 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 and they just want to be better than the other person. Um, and they're not being true to their selves. So I would just recommend people to be true to themselves and yeah, and then create that way. You will achieve so much. Even if you make mistakes, like you'll find yourself in that process. I feel like.
You know, a lot of what you're describing sounds rather toxic to me. And, there was a time in my own process where I often felt like I didn't fit in, I don't fit in. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. And then there was this day when it all shifted and I realized that I had been seeing it completely wrong,
Mhm.
that it wasn't that I didn't belong, it was that I chose not to belong because that group or that group or that group weren't my people. You're describing a group of artists that they're highly competitive, everything's fast, and they're very quick to be judgmental of each other's work. That's not a community I would want to be part of.
Right.
I totally agree with that. And that is why I kind of just do my own thing. I post when I want to post. And it's because it's about the art at the end of the day. It's about creating and creating something meaningful. Uh, because I can just do whatever, the trend is, but I want to be original to myself. And that does weigh sometimes people who are starting out, it does weigh them down, because it kind of becomes like a popularity contest or like, who follows you more and who likes you more. And I think that's very detrimental to a, to an artist to create. Like the goal should always be, in my opinion, to create your art and share because you want people to see it, not more of a numbers game. That's
Hmm.
what I feel. And
But
I'm
Amber,
hearing
may I
some.
share a different perspective?
sure.
You're talking about the art community and all the competition and all of that and how you find it distasteful. So you pulled away and you're doing your own thing. I want to suggest that you be mindful of that not being about community or art. That's about those people.
Right. I agree.
You have to really zero in on what it is. And if you make it about community, then you're going to be isolated. But if you make it about those people and you disassociate yourself with them because they're just not your people, and
Right.
you look elsewhere for community and other artists, you
Mhm.
will find them. You will find people that will celebrate every piece of work you do. You will find people that will be right there cheering you on. You will find people that will believe in you in those moments when you can't believe in yourself.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember, which this goes back to I don't want to make this like a political thing, but when this whole Gaza thing started with the bombings and stuff that are going on,
Mhm.
I reached out to an artist that I had helped in the past, assist in her classes, and she's Jewish. And I reached out to her because she has family there, and I just wanted to see how she's doing. And um she gave me like this big lecture on the Palestinian people there. Um I have family that's been there. We know how people are treated there. My brother, I believe, has volunteered there as he's a physician.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't want to go into like the details, but her I reached out to her because I care. I looked up to her as an artist, and I reached out to her because I thought, as a community, whatever's going on both sides is wrong. Um, and instead, I was told that, you know, the Muslim people are taught from childhood to go kill other people, and which is not true because I was raised in a Muslim household. I wasn't taught that. I feel like the way I act is because of the of what my parents taught me, and what the interpretation that I get the from the faith. And it just put a really bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, well, we're artists, like we're supposed to spread joy and color and inspire. And I didn't create a painting for about, this happened back in, yeah, 2023. And I contacted her like late October. And after she said that, I never responded back to her. um I didn't paint for like 3 months. I was just so devastated. I didn't feel like painting. It wasn't joyful to me because I was just seeing all these artists on like different sides. And I was like, well, no, we need to just come together. You know, there's both sides are hurting, and it really hurt me. So I didn't paint. And it was very difficult. I would try to talk to my husband. He doesn't get it. I did my own research on the conflict, and just found out some stuff, which was interesting. And still to this day, it bothers me because I've never responded back to her. But there's another artist. Her name is Kimberly Blackstock. She is amazing with dots, like the dots that I do. Hers are a little bit thinner than mine. I keep mine a little bit thick, but she's a pretty famous Canadian artist. And she does a lot of charity work for the children like around the world, including that region. And I reached out to her. I mean, she's has a, I mean, she's pretty big, and I can't believe she responded back to me. And the one thing she said, she was like, the world cannot stop seeing your art. You create, just keep on creating. I may cry at this, but that's when late in January of 2024, I started posting again, and I started growing. I have like 7,000 followers now on Facebook, and it just went, 1,000 this month, and then 1,000 more. And people really started to re- respect me. And I'm not political on my page or anything. I don't like post anything because I feel like that's personal to me. I can discuss with my friends and family. I don't need to go like airing that out. But that one thing, that one statement she made, to not stop creating, that is the community. That is the type of community, like the artist that you're talking about, that I want to be a part of. Um,
Seek and ye shall
That's
find,
beautiful.
my dear.
That's right.
Seek and ye
Yeah.
shall find. You know, when we start putting ourselves out there, it doesn't matter what we're putting out there. You're putting art out there. We're putting our ideas and our stories out on social media. We're putting this podcast out on social media. When I put my first podcast out in 2021, it was not long before I started to get hate mail. And people would say absolutely the most hurtful things they could possibly say. And I knew this was coming because I had read enough from people who write about this, people who are in those places. They're out in the world. They're out politically, or they're out publicly, or they're out in
Right,
social media
right.
in some way. And I'd read so many people that said, you have to anticipate that it's going to happen. You have to anticipate that there's going to be a certain amount of haters,
Mhm.
and you have to decide before it ever even happens that you are not going to give your power away to them, that you're not going to give them any oxygen. So I don't ever respond to anyone. We just got a piece of hate mail. We just launched our podcast on Wednesday, and we got a piece of hate mail
Oh,
that was just the
good.
most vile thing that you could imagine. And I said, we got our first piece of hate mail today. And he was like, what did it say? And I told him, of course, he wasn't prepared. So it kind of took him back a little bit. Me,
Oh my God.
this is not my first rodeo. I just laughed. I just laughed. I've gotten to where that is going to be, it doesn't matter how hateful they get or what awful things they say. I am going to meet it with laughter, not give it any oxygen, and then move on.
Right. No, that is totally what you need to do because um I have gotten some negative comments like, "Oh, what a waste of paint," you know. Not hate
No.
mail like you guys got, which is just not acceptable at all. I choose to do what you do is like either delete the comment, move on, I don't respond back. I know some of the artists that I know, if they get like a comment like that, they will take a screenshot of the comment. And I wanted to know your opinion on this. They take a screenshot of it and they'll do a huge public post like, oh, another hater. And they start like doing the same thing that person's doing and start bashing that
Hmm.
person. And I just feel like I mean, what's the
You,
point?
it's interesting.
Sounds
This
like a
this
waste of
hater that
energy.
came up the other day and said what he said, that crossed my mind. I thought, you know what? I'm going to cut that piece out with his photo and his name. I'm going to blow it up really big, and I'm going to put it out. And it is you want to put them in their place. But I thought, if I do that, then I'm no different than he is.
That's right.
Exactly. I mean, and they do that, and I'm just like, it's really good entertainment though, because I just like scroll through the comments, and read everything, and it's just like, oh, you know, um,
So,
yeah.
Amber, what do you think is going to happen for you to be able to let go of the conversation with the woman who lectured you about the war and the fact that your people are killing her people?
That is a tough one. I am still trying to come to terms with that. I want to sometimes just, you know, how you just want to just tell someone off.
Mhm.
Um, I want to do that, but I also have like what we just talked about. Like I will just be like her if I do that. I can go and do like a reel or like blast her on social media, but I won't be different from her, even though she did that in private, but still, like it's still
Well, and I promise that it may make you feel better for a few minutes, and then it won't.
absolutely.
It will last about
It'll
this
be
long.
short-lived. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. So um I'm just letting it go. And I have. It's been like a year now.
How can you take your power back from her? She took your power away with that conversation.
Well, I think I got most of it back by starting to do art and really focus on stuff like creating this like heavy texture dots that I do. It that helped me grow, I feel like, this incident into creating something that none of the fluid artists or acrylic pour people have done. Um, it's a specific niche, that I created. So I think that helped me. And I was kind of like, excuse me for my language, but F this, I'm going to like do my art. And she's going to be stuck with her following and her like little friend group while I want to grow. I want to be in galleries and be known in my community, whether it starts locally in Dallas, but at some point I'll be probably bigger and better than her. So that's the one thing that keeps me motivated, that, oh yeah, I'll be bigger than you one day. Maybe that's like just a dream, but
I want to
Well,
tell you just a little bit and then we'll move on because this is a little bit off topic, but I still think it's important because as a person of any kind of creation, a creator, we're going to put our stuff out there and we're going to get some shitty feedback. So this is important for us to kind of know how we can handle this. I've experimented and explored, and one of the things that I've come up with that helps me tremendously is I look at the other person and I ask myself, what must be going on in that person's life? What kind of pain must they be in to do what they've done or to say what they've said? And if I can, I mean, pain comes from hurt people hurt people. So
Mhm,
she's hurting or she wouldn't have lectured you the way she did. And if I can bring myself to that place where I can feel compassion for that
mhm,
other person,
mhm,
that changes everything. If I can feel compassion, when I was growing up, there was a boy that bullied me through years of school. He was the one that hurt me the most. And there was a point in my life when I realized that for him to do what he had done to me, there must have been something going on in his household that was absolutely unthinkable and unbearable. And I
mhm.
found compassion for him, and it all just melted away. Like I could bump into him on the street right now and be able to sit down and have a conversation with him because when I could realize how much pain he was in to do what he did and
Right,
search for compassion in me, it was my own compassion that freed me.
right. Yeah, that's a tough one to
mm,
find. Because I feel like with this person, I don't know what goes on in her life. I mean, she makes it seem like it's pretty nice and um good.
But don't we all? Isn't that kind
Yeah,
of today's world?
but
We call it the perfect Facebook life.
right, but I do get your point in um feeling compassion and empathy from the point that she wasn't raised like me. So I have empathy and compassion for that, that if someone is behaving the way they are, um when it comes to like conflict, like that, not like the bullying part. um and I've had friends who I've had conversations with, and they're like, you know what, we understand, we'll go educate ourselves as well. So sometimes I feel like when people act, racist or whatever, I really feel like they were raised that way, to think that way.
Pretty
and
much.
and that's where the compassion part comes, is like, they were taught that.
Well, and feeling compassion doesn't mean you're condoning their actions.
Right, right,
Right.
It's not letting them off the hook, it's letting you off the hook.
right.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Being the bigger person. Yeah, this is really good.
I mean, I
Yeah.
continue to kind of drill down on this because you let that stop you from painting for 3 months.
Yeah. And
You let the words of one person completely stop your creative joy for 3 months. This is a topic that's real important because we got to figure out a way to inspire and educate our creatives around us so they don't make the same mistake you did.
yeah,
Yeah.
you were lucky enough to uh, and to light that spark again.
To figure it out
And
and not have it only be 3 months.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And now I think back, I'm like, well, why did I ever do that? You know, like I should never have stopped. But time to move on to bigger and better stuff. But yeah, and that's the message I would give to other creators is, you know, surround yourself with people who respect you, who, you know, even you may have disagreements with them, but you're still like respectful. Yeah, I feel like that's lacking in a lot of people today is being a little tolerant.
Amber, you are such a bright light.
yeah,
Honey, shine that light. Shine that light.
yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'm lucky to have you guys in my life.
We feel very blessed as well.
Yeah, we do. Well, we're drawing near the close of our time, and we like to drop in some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Okay. So we're just gonna drop a couple on you here today. First one, what keeps you going through tough times?
Oh, what keeps me going? I would say buying more paint, the art store. You know, whenever I'm down, I go to like Michael's or Jerry's or something, and it just makes me happy.
I love that. Um, what's one word to describe your creative journey?
Experimentation.
Ooh,
Always experiment. That would,
that's a
Love
oh,
that.
that's a good one. Um, what's one lesson that you've learned in your creative community?
oh, God, there's several. But the main one, which we talked about today, is to be around people that have the same passion and creative goals as myself. That's yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Be around people that lift you up.
That's,
Yes.
that's right. So in our wide-ranging conversation, we've talked about many things, but is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners that we haven't covered?
I would like to share if you have a dream or if you want to achieve a goal, don't let don't procrastinate. Don't be like, "Oh, I'll do it like tomorrow." Start start today. Live in the present. Don't be like, "Oh, yeah." I mean, this is one thing my dad taught me is like if you can do something today, start it or do it today. Don't push it off to tomorrow. So that is something, yeah, I would like want people to do is to not push anything off for tomorrow.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Well
Um,
said, Amber. Very well said.
Thank you.
yeah. Where is one place where our listeners can go and find out more about what you're up to?
Well, I have my website. It's ambergoodwinart.com. I post everything that's going on there. You can also see like my bio and like my CV and stuff. And I'm very active on social media. So you can find me under Amber Goodwin Art on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Um, yeah, so those major platforms. I don't do TikTok, but it was just a little overwhelming for me. So I'm just on those three. But yeah, anyone can email me, Amber Goodwin Art, at hotmail.com. It's on my website. And yeah, I'm always here to answer any questions or inspire someone with their journey.
And we'll be sure that that link is in the show notes so it's easy for the audience to find.
Awesome. This was like so much fun.
Yeah, we're so glad you could do this.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
So glad
sharing your
that y'all have
story, Amber. Yes.
I will see y'all later and have a good, happy new year, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.